There is a national urgency to learn more about dyslexia and its effects on our student success. Current research states that dyslexia affects 1 in 5 people nationally. Consider how many students that would be within your classroom. We are here today because we want to make a difference in the impact that dyslexia has on our students. New state legislature has mandated that all Texas educators receive training about dyslexia. In recent years, there has been a heightened interest in dyslexia. The rise of dyslexia-related legislation has created greater public awareness of this learning disability. As of January 2019, 45 states have some form of dyslexia legislation. Nearly every week, there is some sort of news report on dyslexia, either in local or national news or in education publications, such as Edutopia and Education Week. Advances in neurobiological research has also created opportunities for understanding and exploring dyslexia. We've gathered current research to further develop our dyslexia awareness and understanding so that our students with dyslexia can have the same opportunity to be successful in any Northside classroom. Here's the course of our learning. Dyslexia definition. We'll learn our state's 2018 Dyslexia Handbook, Dyslexia Basics and Research. We'll interact with what dyslexia is and isn't, learn about the causes, the brain research, and the strengths and weaknesses. Understanding the 2 pathways of evaluation. We'll review the 2 pathways and learn about the patterns to look out for. Instructional support. What a student with dyslexia may need to be successful in your class and beyond. Every day, in every classroom, a student with dyslexia experiences challenges. We're going to experience the life of a Northside student with characteristics of dyslexia. Here is Paige's story. The word dyslexia is derived from the Greek words dys, meaning difficult or impaired, and lexia, meaning word. So dyslexia means difficulty reading words. Texas's new 2018 Dyslexia Handbook defines dyslexia. Dyslexia means a disorder of constitutional origin, manifested by a difficulty in learning to read, write, or spell, despite conventional instruction, adequate intelligence, and socio-cultural opportunity. Constitutional origin means that dyslexia is based in the way the brain functions, which is oftentimes known as neurobiological disorder. It's manifested by difficulty in learning to read, write, and spell. These 3 skills are critical to access learning in all subject areas. Dyslexia is a disorder that is specific to learning to read, write, and spell. Whenever print is involved, the student begins to struggle. When print is removed from the task, you will notice strengths like listening comprehension and oral expression. Some students with dyslexia are strong in math concepts and problem solving. They may have a strong visual spatial thinking and be creative with architecture and engineering skills. A student with dyslexia may also be gifted in music, art, and athletics. Let's learn more about where this disorder resides. The brain uses several major areas of the left side simultaneously to read. Functional MRIs show that these areas are more active than other parts of the brain during reading. The phonological processor enables a reader to identify, remember, and produce the sounds of our language. The word analyzer is an area that helps link sounds and their print symbols. The orthographic processor receives visual input from print by recognizing the lines and curves of letters, while also recognizing words as whole units and the sequence of letters. Students with dyslexia have a neurological glitch that prevents them from accessing 2 of these processing areas, leaving them struggling to figure out a word. the brain begins to find ways to adapt and ends up overutilizing other areas. Let's look at specific characteristics of dyslexia. Primary characteristics may be inconsistency in reading words in isolation and poor attempts at figuring out unfamiliar words. When students with dyslexia read orally, it may sound labored with many word substitutions or losing their place because of weak eye tracking. Sometimes a student with dyslexia may struggle with reading or following musical notes on a page in band or orchestra. Associated characteristics may be segmenting, blending, and manipulating sounds in oral language. There may be a weakness in learning the alphabetic code. They may struggle with holding information about sounds and words in memory and rapidly recalling the names of familiar objects, colors, or letters. Sometimes these associated characteristics may interrupt successfully recalling biology terms or math facts. Secondary consequences may be reading comprehension. The student is working so hard at word level that it's difficult to hold on to important information or events in the text. And because reading is hard, they will avoid it, and as a consequence, their vocabulary may be reduced. Sometimes they will struggle with written expression, affecting their ability to convert ideas into print with correct organization, grammar, syntax, and conventions. Scientists have known for many years that genes have a strong influence on the development of both reading and spelling skills. We also know that people are born with dyslexia and it runs in families at different degrees. Multiple genes as well as environmental factors contribute to the development of dyslexia. Even though some aspects of reading development are under genetic influences, the environment also plays a key role in reading outcomes. The good news is that environment can alter the course of dyslexia. That is where your informed support and parent collaboration is essential. Here are some common behaviors that may persist over time and interfere with learning. In preschool, we want to look out for the student's language development, auditory responses, and if they are able to learn the names of letters and numbers. In early elementary, keep an eye on the student's ability to rhyme or manipulate words, spelling, and recognizing sight words. In late elementary, the previous behaviors remain, while reading fluency and difficulty decoding unknown words are demonstrated. In secondary grades, some of these previous behaviors may remain, but due to low fluency, you begin to see the student's frustration with reading and writing volume. Students may struggle in learning a foreign language, such as the ones offered as course credits. Students identified as having characteristics of dyslexia may not exhibit all the characteristics we learned about. Each student has unique strengths and deficits, as well as environment and academic experiences. They will all vary in the degree of dyslexia. Let's take some time to measure our learning. Due to the current research, dyslexia and dysgraphia are now recognized to be distinct disorders that can exist together or separately. They have different brain processes and identifiable characteristics. Dysgraphia means difficulty writing words. This difficulty is more than just illegible handwriting. Let's learn more about dysgraphia and handwriting. Handwriting instruction has been a hot topic in light of access to technology. Let's discuss some misconceptions. Some misconceptions are that handwriting is only a motor skill. Research shows that the act of handwriting involves motor, visual, and auditory brain networks. Keyboarding is the new handwriting. Although we do have to prepare our students for technology, the act of handwriting creates a mental picture of the word and aids in spelling. Word processing does not create the same image. Handwriting is linked to basic reading and spelling achievement in elementary. These learning connections help deepen the processing pathways in the brain and make strides towards automaticity. With our new handwriting Texas Essential Knowledge and Skills instated this year, all kinder and first graders will learn how to write print. And cursive instruction will begin in second grade and carry on through fifth grade. Research has shown that cursive writing helps students with dyslexia because the flow and the string of letters present spelling as a unit, rather than a series of separate strokes. Therefore, spelling is more likely to be retained and fewer reversals are made. Let's keep in mind that if a student hasn't had adequate handwriting instruction, then it isn't unexpected for their writing to demonstrate illegible letter formation, spacing, and lack of fluency. As we instructionally support our new handwriting TEKs, we will be able to progress monitor our students' handwriting more strategically. Let's now look at the definition of dysgraphia. Dysgraphia is a neurodevelopmental disorder manifested by illegible and/or inefficient handwriting due to difficulty with letter formation. This difficulty is the result of deficits in the graphomotor function and/or storing and retrieving orthographic codes. Notice that dysgraphia is also a neurodevelopmental disorder, just like dyslexia, and is based in the development of the brain. Let's look at characteristics of dysgraphia first. Some attributes may be poorly formed letters and spacing, lots of erasures and smudges, inconsistent capitals, and lowercase letters within writing. There is a noticeable slow rate in writing and copying from a whiteboard or a notebook on their desk. Motor memory issues may involve weakness in the physical aspect of writing and the sequence in letter formation. Consequences may involve poor spelling and ability to express their ideas. Sometimes a student may be able to orally share their composition idea, but when it's time to get it on paper, they struggle to produce it. This can be frustrating to them and may even seem like signs of work avoidance or lack of interest. Let's look at two samples. The first one is a second grader's notebook entry, and the second one is a seventh grader's reading response worksheet. At first glance, these two students need immediate help with spacing, letter formation, and staying on the line. But the weakness is deeper than that. Some attributes and consequences in these samples are poorly formed letters. There's a weakness in spacing, inconsistent capitals, and lowercase letters within a word. And the student has a slow rate in writing output. They have poor spelling and ability to express their ideas. Let's talk about data. Educators are trained to study our students and become familiar with developmental and academic benchmarks. Data patterns should be a sign of concern. Patterns are repetitive signs of what may either be habitual error or may be signs of a neurological disability, such as dyslexia or dysgraphia. That is why it is important that we look at the academic history of the student across the content area. Some student errors in learning can be changed by reteaching or re-engagement. These patterns may also exist in our secondary students. But if a student continues to struggle with the same errors, then data should be collected and analyzed. Patterns in reading may show up in the Texas Primary Reading Inventory Assessment that is administered 3 times a year for kinder, first, and second grade. The timeline of growth through the reading level continuum, along with analyzing miscues, can tell us a lot about the student's abilities or weaknesses in decoding and low fluency. The student may also seem frustrated with the volume of reading and rely more on the content and picture cues. Writing patterns of concern, such as inconsistent spelling errors, copying notes from the board is labored, and simplistic writing are telling signs of a concern. Other behaviors to consider are failing grades, inability to complete work in an appropriate time frame, and they struggle with organizational skills. Emotional outbursts and unique expressions like, "When I try to read, my eyes get watery." Consult with your professional learning community and reading specialist on what course to take, whether it be targeted instruction or discuss an evaluation pathway. Data-informed decisions should reflect the input from staff and parents for every student on an individual basis. The Tier 3 team should consider all resources and services based on the student's academic history. Then they can gauge the level of impact that the suspected learning disability will have on the student's ability to access grade-level learning and make progress in the general curriculum. If data shows patterns of concerns that may lean heavily on a need for specially designed instruction, related services, accommodations, and modifications, then a full individual evaluation under IDEA may be warranted. If the data shows that the student may only need intervention support and accommodations that is specific to reading and writing in a general education setting, then the evaluation may be fulfilled under Section 504. The next part of our dyslexia awareness training will be about instruction, strategies, and approaches that will help our students through their journey with dyslexia. The National Reading Panel's research made it clear that the best approach to reading instruction is incorporating phonemic awareness, phonics, fluency, vocabulary, and comprehension. These are called the 5 pillars of reading. Elementary TEKS support these pillars of reading. In secondary, literature instruction transitions into word study, fluency, and vocabulary. Comprehension will deepen as teachers creatively motivate their students to explore mature texts and genres. Word study may incorporate phonemic awareness and phonics for our students with dyslexia. Short 8 to 10 minutes of word study instruction can help develop decoding skills. All content areas involve print. We learn new information through reading and academic language. This can be challenging for our students with dyslexia. Supporting our students is a shared responsibility across all content areas. Math, science, and history have many multisyllabic words that may be challenging to decode. Learning a foreign language means learning new letter-sound relationships, even when a student with dyslexia struggles with the English code. Secondary students in these courses may struggle with asking for help, just like Paige did. Teachers need to be aware of these possible challenges and check in with the students. Supporting our students with dyslexia. The following slides will focus on the 5 pillars of reading instruction, instructional approaches, and strategies that will help you support our students with dyslexia in any content area, class, or course. We'll learn the what to teach when a student is struggling and how to teach it effectively. Research states that multi-sensory instruction is the best way to support our students with dyslexia. Let's learn more about this approach. Multi-sensory teaching engages the senses and helps students with dyslexia activate more brain pathways. Let's review some strategies and tools that can be used in any classroom setting. Visual experiences stimulate the right brain first. Then, it communicates with the left brain to break the code of print. Visuals like anchor charts, slides, Word cards, interactive notebooks, and processing models for math and science will help strengthen processing pathways for our students with dyslexia. Auditory approaches to instruction is easily available. One tool used mostly with younger students is a whisper phone. Many students with dyslexia oftentimes read independently in a whisper voice. This is because it helps them hear what they are reading and attend to the text. Auditory approaches provide multiple opportunities for our students to listen to repeated pronunciations of sounds in words, follow a process, and relearn and review information. Various formats like audio texts, videos, content wraps, and online audio reviews can easily be uploaded to Google Classroom and revisited by our students. Tactile approaches activates our senses through our hands. Using letter magnets, letter tiles, whiteboards, shaving cream, interactive stations that practice skills, keyboarding, and content labs can help make brain imprints of words. Movement activates left and right brain processing in an engaging way. Kinesthetic approaches like hopping and tapping sounds, gallery walks, word cards, tracing, interactive Google slides, adding movement for learning facts, and lab rotations all involve learning, applying, and repeating information. Phonemic awareness is an umbrella term used for a large category of oral language processing abilities that are foundational to learning how to read. Students with dyslexia may struggle hearing and manipulating sounds. This is primary where the glitch may interrupt accurate reading and writing. Phonics is linking sounds to print. Students with dyslexia benefit from learning the rules of our language sounds. In middle and high school, these two domains are combined into word study instruction. Let's learn about some instructional approaches that will benefit our students with dyslexia. Playing with language is the foundation of reading acquisition. Some phonemic awareness approaches are, if the student can't hear the sounds in words, then slow down and pronounce each sound while tapping each box. When students can't blend sounds or syllables together, use your open hands to represent each syllable and clap them together to show blending. If a student struggles with hearing or creating rhyme, then use two colored index cards to represent the onset and rhyme. Change the onset as you model changing the initial sound. The rhyme card will remain, showing students that it stays the same. When we are working with print, we are teaching phonics. If a student with dyslexia is unable to match sounds to letters to read or write words, take the Elkonin boxes and add letters to them after modeling the sound. You can pair this activity with picture sound cards as a mnemonic device. If the student struggles with noticing or remembering word patterns, use decodable texts for multiple experiences and highlight the word pattern. Sometimes, a student with dyslexia may struggle with noticing different word forms. They may see the root word help and consistently read it as helps. Because they are more familiar with that word, using word matrices and word sums can bring awareness to other word forms. Students in middle school and high school can learn word study skills in a short, focused 8 to 10 minute small group. Here are a few instructional approaches you can do in class with a few words 3 days a week. Students with dyslexia rely on memorizing words and word parts. If they struggle sounding out new words, have them circle or highlight the parts they notice in the word. Then chunk that part and attempt to read the whole word by blending the chunks together. Students with dyslexia struggle with word accuracy in all subject areas. Give them a bank of frequently used academic words and color code parts of the word that is recognizable. You can create mnemonic devices to access the word, such as a picture or a sketch, or break the word into syllables. Sometimes the glitch in the phonological processor will look like the student struggles seeing the letters. Dyslexia does not affect vision, but it does interrupt processing the sounds. They may resort to avoiding the print and begin to guess. Redirect them to look at the word, use their finger to reveal one syllable or part at a time to eliminate random eye scanning. This may help them hone in to sounding out one part and blending the other syllables. Spelling involves many of the same processes as reading. However, spelling skills are more resistant to intervention. The best approach would be to combine phonics and spelling. It's not about memorizing a list of words to later forget them, but rather, it's about giving students with dyslexia multiple opportunities to notice and work with common word patterns. Spelling instruction builds reading proficiency because it creates sound print experiences and builds vocabulary. If we begin in elementary to teach word patterns and spelling rules, look at how it can support chemistry in high school. Students with dyslexia need to experience and engage with print in all subject areas according to their abilities. All content teachers can find ways to scaffold their support by encouraging the student to use their strategies and accommodations to be successful. When you catch them using their strategies or taking risks, give them immediate feedback to enforce their effort. This can truly help them buy into their strategy. Conference with them and let them know you understand their strengths and you are there to support them. Never tell them to try harder. Rather, take the time to hear their frustration and guide their learning. Fluency is the bridge that connects phonics or word study to comprehension. It involves reading words accurately with good rate and expression. Reading with fluency frees up the brain to attend to meaning. But for our students with dyslexia, fluency is more difficult to remediate. Here are some approaches that will help our students. Fluency practice can be done in 3 to 5 minute drills daily, and it doesn't take much preparation. If a student with dyslexia struggles with letter reversals, label a dice with the letters or make word cards with the highlighted letter and randomly identify it and sort it. If a student struggles with sight words or content vocabulary words, create a common syllable chart or word chart and have them practice reading them while recording their time. Syllables such as shun, meant, and pre are found in many secondary level texts and subjects. If a student reads 1 to 2 words at a time, then take a short text and make appropriate phrasing marks. Model reading it and have the student echo read it and practice it independently. It's common for some students with dyslexia to lose track of their place in a text. This may be due to weak eye tracking. Teach the student to use their pencil as an end-of-line sweep marker by placing it at the end of each text line and sweeping their pencil across the page to the next line. The size and length of a text can be visually overwhelming for a student with dyslexia. The chunk and pace approach can help alleviate the challenge. Have the student use an index card to single out text lines and slowly pace themselves through the text. Also, consider the size of print when making copies of text and questions. The smaller print and limited writing space can be challenging for our students with dyslexia. Giving them the text in full print and allowing them to respond on paper or an online document can be helpful. Vocabulary instruction can be embedded with word study and comprehension instruction. Sometimes that processing glitch in decoding words impedes comprehension in all subjects and can frustrate our students with dyslexia. Let's learn some strategies. We want to help our students develop reading independence by applying tools or strategies. During the student's independent read, one of their strategies can be to highlight words that challenge them. You can then briefly conference with them and review a few of the words by revisiting word patterns. Ask the student, "What do you notice about this word?" Next, write the word and have the student code it with the word parts or patterns they notice. In the word appearing, the student identified the vowels and noticed the suffix ing. This helps lead the student to remember that ing at the end of a word means that it may be a verb. In the word sentimental, the student noticed the word sent and men. The goal is to begin with applying word structure awareness first, then blend the word to attempt to pronounce it, following up with using context to support meaning. Because a student with dyslexia uses more energy in decoding the words in a text, comprehension may be interrupted. Teaching students to think through a text will require explicit instruction. One strategy is underlining important information and jotting down a note or two about what was read. Check in with the student and target a small part of the text to review comprehension strategies and the skill. A brief small group approach can be using a chunk of the text, re-engaging the student in the comprehension strategy and skill. Texts in secondary grades can be word-heavy. Novels like To Kill a Mockingbird and Hamlet can be challenging for our students with dyslexia. Consider giving them more time to complete their reading or balance the load by providing the audiobook to use at home. Some audiobook programs like Learning Ally and Bookshare have various formats available, note-taking abilities, and line reader guide. Another approach is to highlight important discussion parts of the text beforehand, so the student can have time to read it and be ready to participate in class discussions. Text in other subjects can also be word-heavy. Math problems, science texts, and other subject areas require a lot of independent reading to learn new information. Teach students to read with purpose and circle or highlight important information, then sketch or work out their problem. You can upload a video or model of the process onto Google Classroom for reference. Rather than using a textbook as notes, allow the student to use a summary graphic organizer as a reference to alleviate frustration or confusion with the amount of information to learn. Students with dysgraphia range in degree of impairment. When a student realizes that their writing is vastly different to their peers, a range of emotions may interrupt their success. When creating your lesson and aiming for students to demonstrate mastery of a skill or knowledge of content, be mindful of the following: rate of producing written work, volume of the work, complexity of the task, and format of the product. Some supportive responses in all content areas can be: allow more time to complete the written task, reduce the length requirements, allow other paper formats, like graph paper for math computation organization, or blank paper, and allow the use of technology. To complete our learning of instructional approaches that support our students with dyslexia, let's look at this model. Leading reading researcher Hollis Scarborough created the reading rope model. It represents skilled reading as a combination of strands or subskills that interact with each other. Notice that word recognition and language comprehension must come together through quality instruction to become a skilled reader. Although some believe that word recognition is only taught and mastered in elementary, unfortunately, it is not uncommon to find some middle school and high school students struggling in comprehension. This may be mostly linked to a weakness in the word recognition strands. These students need targeted instruction in word recognition to close those gaps and rehabilitate the broken link to comprehension. You can count on your campus reading specialist. They can help you analyze patterns of concern and brainstorm some instructional approaches and accommodations. If a parent questions possible signs of dyslexia or talks to you about concerns specific to reading and writing, give them the reading specialist's contact information and immediately follow up with him or her. Collaboration is key to success. Today we learned about one of our diverse learners, our students with dyslexia. They will be in your class or course. Be a part of your campus club. Play an instrument. Be an athlete. Lead an academic team and participate in school events. But it will be an uphill journey to be successful in all they pursue. Our students with dyslexia need you. You have the opportunity to alter the course of dyslexia. First, begin with quality core instruction for all students. Be aware of the signs of dyslexia and gather the RTI team to discuss those patterns. Develop a relationship with the student by understanding their strengths and needs, and plan for differentiated instruction to support them. We'll close with a poem written by a 10-year-old student with dyslexia.
I am stupid. Nobody would ever say I have a talent for words. I was meant to be great. That is wrong. I am a failure. Nobody could ever convince me to think that I can make it in life.
Many of our students with dyslexia share the same emotions and thoughts, but you have an opportunity to make a difference in their lives and alter the course of this disability. Now, read the poem from the last line and continue up to the first line.
I can make it in life. Nobody could ever convince me to think that I am a failure. That is wrong. I was meant to be great. I have a talent for words. Nobody could ever say that I am stupid.